Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very brief presentation. My name is John Jameson. We're going to show you a simple but powerful solution for possible long-term care needs that you might have in the future. Something that probably nobody has shown you before. One of the best options out there in the marketplace. Very quickly, a lot of you guys already know me, but if you don't, my name is John Jameson. I'm number one best-selling author of two financial books. Available at Amazon if you should be so inclined. Get the most recent one, which would be Wealth Without Stocks or Mutual Funds. I'm a financial advisor who's spoken to thousands of people in every major city in North America, in the United States and Canada. I currently have clients in over 30 states, and I'm also the author of several other training programs on growing and protecting wealth. Let's get that out of the way. I also always tell people that because it's important to, if you're going to listen to somebody's advice, to have at least an idea of where they come from, what their history is. So today, very quickly, we want to talk about control of your money and long-term care all in one program. You're going to be able to use existing funds to provide potential coverage for future long-term care while growing your existing funds that you put into the program. In other words, you maintain control of the fund you're going to use for this particular program. If you never need long-term care, your money will grow, and you can leave it behind for your family, or you can even decide to use it for something different in the future if you need it. If you do need long-term care, you're going to have up to a 325% bonus on top of whatever amount of money you put in the program, which would be your initial investment. And that amount of money could be used tax-free for long-term care, because Uncle Sam says any money that you use for long-term care would be tax-free. And you could use these funds for your care at your home or at a facility. It's up to you. Again, control. You maintain control of the cash in the program, and you maintain control of your eventual care should you need it. So what do you need to qualify for this plan? Very little, frankly. You have to be between age 55 and 80. Minimum investment's $50,000. So obviously you would need at least that much. More you put in, the more benefit you get. But 50,000 is the minimum. You have to be able to do a video underwriting call to check for cognitive issues. So an underwriter is going to reach out to you via basically a Zoom link. You have to have a camera that can they can have a look at your entire body, basically, but usually with you sitting in a chair, right? And they're going to have you do some basic cognitive tests. They're going to have you stand up from that chair a couple times, and that's about the extent of it. Once that's done, which will take about 30 minutes, be prepared to be covered within about the next 60 minutes after that, because these get approved very quickly. There's almost nobody that's going to be turned down, assuming you don't need existing long-term care. You're not already receiving long-term care. You're going to be made an offer, and that's very different from most programs. A traditional long-term care policy is extremely difficult to get. They really want you in tip-top shape, and so very few people qualify for it, not to mention the fact that it's very expensive. This is a little different. Almost everybody's going to qualify, and you can use existing money to then just leverage that particular asset. So let me give you a real-life example. Let's assume that you were to put $100,000 of premium in this program. Okay, I put non-qualified. In other words, you can't use your IRA money or any 401k. It has to be money that's already been taxed. So unless you want to pull the money out, pay the tax on it, and then put it into this program, you could use old non-qualified annuities. You could do an exchange into this particular program. So there's a lot of ways to use existing assets. But in this example, it's $100,000 you're able to come up with. Okay. That money is going to be principal protected inside the program, so you can't lose any money based on the market. And then you're going to track the S&P 500 for growth, and you're going to have a 9% cap rate at this particular time, which means you could make up to 9% in that particular account. You can't lose anything, so you're going to make somewhere between 0 and 9. There's also another strategy. You might be able to make even more than 9% with what's called the participation rate strategy. Not going to bore you with that today. We can talk about it on a personal phone call. Okay, so let's make some quick assumptions. You're 60 years old. You put in $100,000. You're going to start off at about a $320,000 long-term care payout coverage, right? Depending on your approval level. One thing, there's a 4-year vesting schedule, meaning you wouldn't have access to that entire $320,000 until after 4 years. So basically, if you need it 2 years in, then then you're only going to get half that benefit. The vast majority of people will not need it until after 4 years. Remember, you're planning for the future, right? So 4 years, you'll probably be fine. And after 4 years, you get the full vesting schedule. And actually, that $320,000 grows over time as well. $320,000 would be the starting benefit. Okay. Now, the $100,000 that's still your money, mind you, you put in the program, and it tracks the S&P 500, and you'll be credited every year somewhere between 0% and approximately about 11%. And that all that growth is tax deferred inside that program as well. So there's no taxes due on that. Your $320,000 long-term care benefit, as we said before, will also continue to grow. And so let's just assume you need long-term care in 10 years. That'd be age 70. It's a little bit early to need long-term care most of the time, but hey, you never know, and it's just an example. So the long-term care benefit would have grown to, let's just say, about $400,000. They're going to pay you out that, and if you make a claim, they're going to pay you out that $400,000 over 5 years, because that's how your long-term care expenses are going to come. They're going to come monthly, and so will your check from this particular account. And in this example, they'll pay you $6,667 a month. Again, tax-free. Uncle Sam doesn't get any of that, and you use that to pay for long-term care expenses. Will that pay for all of them? For some of you, it will. Some of you, it won't. Let's say, but if your long-term care expenses are $9,000, how'd you like to have the first $6,667 paid every month for the next 5 years, right? That take the load off. So now let's assume for a second that $100,000 you put into the program averages a 6% rate of return. Some years it'll be 0. Some years it'll be 8, 9, 10, 11. But let's just say it's 6% return on an average. And you never need the long-term care. You were very fortunate. You pass away at age 85 without needing long-term care. So in other words, 25 years later after you set this up, you pass away. What happened to the money that's in the account? Well, that money would have grown to about $446,000 in change. And all of that would go to your family or wherever you want it to go to. It's part of your estate. So you leave it behind in a will, and someone's going to get $446,000 or some portion thereof, whatever you decide. Okay? So again, it's been your money the entire time. The only expense on this particular program is approximately about a 1% annual fee for the rider. And that's it. It's very transparent. So you know what your rider fee is going to be going in. And that's something we would show you when we actually run numbers for you. Okay. What if you're not one of the 70% that gets approved at preferred? Well, then most of you would get approved at standard, which means your starting long-term care benefit wouldn't be 320%. It would still be 220% of that initial $100,000. So you'd start off with $220,000 available for long-term care. So again, that'll be a small part of the people listening to this call. The vast majority are going to be at preferred. Over 70% will get the approved at preferred and be eligible for a higher multiple of premium to be used towards long-term care. And again, all tax-free. So at this point, folks, it's kind of an IQ test if you think about it. All you have to do is reallocate some money that you already have into an account that protects the principal and gives you a chance at some solid growth on the money. Again, it's your money. You maintain control. At the same time, by reallocating that money, it gives you a huge leverage of up to 320% tax-free if you need long-term care. So you're really setting yourself up for heads I win, tails I win more. All right. And again, folks, that would save you about $220,000 out of pocket if you should need that long-term care but choose not to do anything. Well, someone's paying for it, and it's going to be you, and you're going to sell off other assets, and it will cost you an extra $220,000. Right? If you never need the long-term care rider, then your family gets the cash. So you're just moving money to create. You're basically using money as a tool, and you're using a very sophisticated tool, although it's pretty simple. But you're using this tool combined with your money to provide long-term care benefits to you, which will obviously help your family not only financially, but if you can afford to pay people to come in to help, that's going to take a lot of strain off your family as well. So I would say don't wait another minute to set this up. Set an appointment to talk with me on the phone, and I'm going to give you several different ways to do that. Number one is my calendar link at the top. You can copy and paste that inside your browser. That'll take you to a page where you can set up a 30-minute phone call with me, and we'll get some custom numbers run for you and what your situation is and answer your questions. You can also call the office directly, 586-944-0794. You can email me directly. Make sure you get that email right, though. It's John D. Don't forget the D. And Jameson is Jamieson, John D. Jameson at gmail.com. And to wrap this up, because I did want to keep this just a very quick presentation, Uncle Sam says that 73% of us are going to need long-term care. And of that 73%, 30% of us will need long-term care for at least 5 years. And average right now if you have to go into a facility, average for a private room right now nationwide is about $8,500 a month. So times that by 60, you're looking at just incredible amounts of money. And it doesn't have to be that way. You could at least, if not pay for it all, you could pay for a large portion of it with this program should you ever need to. And if you don't need to, your family gets the money. That's why I say it's almost an IQ test at this point. So take action today, nip that potential problem in the bud, and we'll look forward to talking with you soon. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. And again, pass this video along to somebody you know, someone you love, and say, hey, this is a neat program. And there's a lot of people that would love long-term care, but they can't qualify physically. They'll almost always be able to qualify physically for some kind of a benefit with this particular program. And they can do that without taking on big monthly payments. They can just reposition some money they already have that's probably sitting there just waiting to be used as a proper tool. And maybe this is the tool they're looking for. So please pass it along. All right, thanks for stopping in. We'll talk to you soon.